Welcome to GameRomp Easy Mode, a chill, easygoing podcast about random video game stuff that we happen to be messing around with.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm one of your hosts, Deanna.
And I'm David.
And this week we're going over a whole bunch of demos that we played.
Yep, for the Steam Next Fest.
And I guess, yeah, some of it is the Next Fest, but some of it is also just like after all those game shows and stuff. Or do they like intertwine?
I think all the games that I'm going to talk about today were featured on the Next Fest, but yeah, some of them also appeared on the shows.
So you can go first.
All right, sure. I guess I'll start with one that I saw and immediately thought of you.
Oh, okay.
Because it looked like Simcopter.
Oh, gotcha.
Have we ever talked about Simcopter on the podcast? Probably not.
I mean, maybe not like in depth, but there's got to be a way or time that I talked about it.
We played it on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's true.
One of the first games we did a little series with. What was it called? Let me show you, or something like that.
I think it was like, hey, try this.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So Simcopter was a game you played a lot as a kid, and I don't know if I ever played it as a kid. I played Streets of SimCity, which is kind of like the same engine, or like an evolution of that engine. Anyway, I saw this game and I thought of Simcopter, which made me think of you. And
then you played it instead of me.
Well, we played it, yeah, I played it on the couch and you joined me and watched me.
Yeah.
I asked you if you wanted to play it and you said no. But anyway, the game is called Rotor Sim. It's
very rough around the edges, but of course it's a demo.
So yeah, and it's made by like one guy.
Yeah.
Which I know is like becoming a meme lately, but literally one dude just making it in his free time. And yeah, you control a helicopter and you're doing like little missions, and it's not like super serious in the sense that like it's not like a hilarious game or anything, but there's definitely some of the missions are silly in the sense of like, oh, there's a secret organization you're delivering to and they're like, don't ask any questions, or you're delivering supplies to these like preppers at their bunker, or I think there was one time where you had to like pick up this like rich dude from the airport and drop him off at his mansion. And I mean, yeah, it was very simple, but it was still kind of fun, I guess.
I mean, the controls were... How were the controls? Because like I
crashed twice.
Yeah.
But I think that was my fault for not paying attention to my altitude.
Well, no, that didn't help.
Because like a couple of those missions were also very, very foggy, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But
like, I understand introducing fog at some point because that's just like how weather works. But I think they did introduce it a little too early.
Well, the demo isn't that long either. Like, I played a total of like half an hour.
No, I know, but like if they're making a tutorial, they need to like teach you only a couple of things at one time instead of like, okay, do this first tutorial, and that's like how you learn how to fly the helicopter, and then the second little tutorial mission is like, okay, now we're gonna put you into, you know, flying in fog without like really teaching you how to fly by instrument. Does that make sense? Because like it didn't
in the sense, but like it wasn't the fog missions didn't start until like towards the end. But because the demo was so short, I guess you could see it as being too early. But again, it was like a 30-minute demo, so by the time I got through like the tutorial and the 5 missions, it just flew right by. But
pun intended.
I think it was fine. It'll be fun to see if they keep at it and work on like the I don't know if I want to say work on the humor, but like if I'm going to be playing a game like this, I want it to be kind of silly and funny.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where it's not like super serious, like I don't know, like SnowRunners or American Truck Simulator, or games that have like no flavor to it at all.
Yeah.
This already had a little bit of flavor, like with the dialogue and the weird little characters. But yeah, so that was Rotor Sim. It was cool. It's kind, I don't know. I guess to me it's just like, oh wow, this is like Simcopter. And yeah, there were some similarities, but there's also a lot of stuff that Simcopter had that this doesn't. Which, I mean, again, this is one person making it.
And it's also a demo. So.
Yeah. All right, so...
I will say this kind of did make me almost think like, oh, maybe I should try and see how hard it would be to make something like this. Because, like, I've already had that thought in my head before. So seeing this, I'm like, oh, this is pretty rough, too. So...
Yeah, that's going to be a common theme with some of these demos.
Like, I'm not saying I could do better. I'm not, clearly. I'm just saying, like, oh, how far could I get?
I feel like was there like a Steam Next Fest earlier this year. I don't know how many of these they have.
They probably either have multiples or like different types.
Because I remember we had like a show where we talked about demos, and there was quite a few there that we were like, it needs some work, some time in the oven. And yeah, there's definitely a few more that are going to be like that.
Well, we've also done this over a year now, so maybe that was literally just last year.
I don't know. How about you move on to yours next, or should I go into the other one that you watched me play?
No, that's fine. So one of the demos I played is called Silk Roads 2. So I guess clearly there's like a first one that I just haven't seen or heard of.
Yeah, me neither.
So this is like, I would say it's vaguely like Oregon Trail in the sense that you're taking this character and you're not necessarily going to a specific end goal. So it's not like you're ending up in Oregon or whatever. It's just similar in that you make your character, you start with signing a contract with some random person that I never saw or heard of. It's just like, oh, they'll take 50% cut of whatever profits you make, and they'll give you $1,000 to start with. You're going around, and you're just a trader.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going from one ancient town like Venice and going to like Athens or Baghdad. You're going like all through the ancient world of like
Europe and the Middle East.
Yeah. I was trying to think like, oh, specific parts of Europe, but like I guess like the Mediterranean. It's not necessarily the Silk Road because it doesn't go over to like the East Asia. But definitely, yeah, the southeastern Europe and then into the Middle East.
Okay.
And it's got a old style, like old manuscript kind of drawings of like ancient times or whatever, like paper. Like
Pentiment?
Not as detailed, but yeah, I guess I would put it close to what Pentiment kind of looks like.
Okay.
And it's like, I had a drive to like work on the demo because like the information you get is actually pretty good for a demo. It's trying to explain how all these different things work. And each time you're in a town, you can look at rumors of like, information of like, this town is at war with this town, and this town over here is dealing with the plague, or this one is dealing with famine and stuff like that. So you want to like stay away from those towns. And then there was like something where like, one town or these two towns would have a higher quantity of their items, but I guess it would sell for less because it's like an overabundance or something like that. So you would use that information to figure out, okay, I'm in this town currently, and I'll buy up some of the items and then go to the other town and try and sell it for a profit.
Okay, yeah, that reminds me of Suikoden too, funny enough.
I mean, sure. We haven't played that kind of aspect of the game, but
yeah, I remember like there was that one kobold village where they're like, if you buy sugar here, you can go sell it out south window for lots of money. And it's basically that kind of thing. Like some towns will specialize in certain things and make it cheap that you can sell it for a lot elsewhere. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the basic premise. You buy from one area and you sell to another area. Mm-hmm. And then it gets a little bit more in depth where you're always starting in like, I guess the Latin world or whatever, where it's all like, I guess it's basically Christian based, quote unquote, because it has like a cross. And then you start going to other towns and there's like the Muslim areas. Mm-hmm. And you have like a reputation with each of them. And there's actually one other society, culture, I guess you want to call it. I don't remember what exactly it's based on. It's a different symbol than the cross, but like vaguely similar. I don't know. And
like an Ankh?
No, it's not an Ankh. I don't know what to call it. Anyways, there's 3 different cultures that you can like build your reputation with, and I guess as you do more quests for them, you'll get more reputation, and the more reputation you get, the more items you can buy. Because when I was starting in the game, I could only buy certain items, even though there was a lot more in the market to buy, but I just couldn't for some reason. I'm not entirely sure how it all works, but like the idea behind the demo is really good. And I tried multiple times playing multiple games because
Yeah, I
the
saw.
demo is you can play each run up to 2 years long or something. The first one, I don't think with either of the runs that I made it further than a year. I ended up either running out of money. I think on the second run I literally just ended up fucking dying. It's either I'm just dense as hell or this game is surprisingly hard. And I don't know if it's the math behind the game that's not quite right. Cuz you can do one of the quests and they're like, "Oh, you have to go from this town to this other town and it's say 900 miles or something, which is going to take a long time to travel." But if you do the delivery, you make 28 gold. But 28 gold is I don't know, maybe 10 meals. It just doesn't seem like it's adequate. And I'm trying to sell stuff to try and make a profit. And I don't know. I just can't manage it.
Maybe this type of game isn't for you.
I don't know. It feels like I would have to write down everything because I'm I can't finagle all the different town names and remembering where they are.
There's other games like this too that you could try. Some are sci-fi, some are for example, Rebel Galaxy was this space game where you can go do missions and shoot ships, but you could also just be a space trucker and go to certain planets that sell things for cheap, and then take that to space stations or other planets that need that stuff and sell it for a profit. Or I think the game was called Sim Pirates, where it's in the
pirate era.
Yeah, and you can be a pirate. You could be a privateer for one of the big countries like Spain or Portugal. So they'll back you and then you just attack ships from Spain. Or you could just be a trader and be going from the Bahamas to Miami and selling different things. This country's selling tobacco for really cheap that this other town will buy it for, and stuff like that. So there's a lot. Yeah, the more you talk about this game, is there's plenty of games that do this kind of thing, and I guess they just wanted to focus on that one aspect of.
Yeah, there are other games where you're doing the trading without having to worry about fighting, because there's events that happen every 100 miles, I think, give or take. And there were bandits and stuff, and I had to make sure I had enough guarding points or something, but there's not really fighting. Would there be anything like that by chance?
I mean, you could just evade anything that tries to attack you, yeah.
I guess that's one way of doing it. But yeah, it was an interesting demo. It's probably the one that I put the most time into, but I'm just not good at it.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw you play that at least 3 times.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any demo I visited more than once.
Because I want to like it. I want something like the Oregon Trail, I guess. And I know there's the Oregon Trail, but
Do you know how many hours you put into this?
I mean, probably less than 2 or 3, but.
Okay. Curious, because I also wrote down how many hours or minutes or whatever I put into each demo.
Oh, I didn't bother to check that for
I just thought it was interesting. But let's move on to the other one that you saw me play.
Oh yeah.
Which was Ratatan, which is a spiritual successor to Patapon. And
very clearly a spiritual successor.
Yeah.
I don't know if it wouldn't quite count as copy and pasted, but holy shit.
Well, it's the same people that made it, so yeah.
Oh, okay, that would explain it.
They're just independent now. So I don't know what the legality of that kind of stuff is, because it's so freaking close. This is easily you could just get confused. Is this just more Patapon? I mean, kinda.
Yeah, essentially.
If you've never heard of Patapon, it's this old PSP game where you're controlling this little army of cute little eyeball monster things. It's very simple looking, and the way you control it is by making the rhythm for them, and the different buttons have different drums, I guess, that you would hit. But the drums they get kind of represented by pa, ta. I don't know what the other two are, but
very simple sounds.
I think pata, 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 pon was to make them advance. And pon, pon, pata, pon was to make them attack. So that's kind of the idea of it. Depending on the sounds you make on the drums in the set of 4, that's what they would end up doing. So you have to control these little dudes by beating the drum, And in this game, I never really played Patapon because I never had a PSP. But for Rataton, you control like one little dude that you can move with your joystick. And then like, I think you start with like 3 or 4 little guys. But then as you go through the stages, you can get more.
Yeah. You like unlock them or collect them or something?
It's kind of like a roguelike in that each run is you're starting from like scratch. So as you play through, you can like pick perks that will give you a couple more dudes, or pick perks that will give you an item or something, or one that will give you like certain elemental energies, which I didn't quite understand.
Yeah, because one of them was like poison or something, right?
Yeah, poison, lightning. I think there was chill and fire. I don't remember specifically because I didn't really notice how they affected the game, because like you're controlling everything together. Like one of the things that I didn't understand at first, but one of the most important ones was like rally. And I don't remember the song, but like you would do the little songs like pata 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 whatever, and that would make them rally to you, which means that they would follow your joystick along with your main character, which is really useful to evade attacks. And then you would do like the attack one, which would be like pata pata bon bon or whatever, and that makes them just rush ahead and attack. And then there's one for like a special attack, and each unit has a different kind of, well, not each unit, but each I guess commander that you pick has like a different type of attack that they make them do. Like one would like do a charge ahead, and another one would be like a guard attack or something.
Oh, there was different commanders? Because I only saw the first one,
There's
guess.
like 4. I only played 2 of them. I played the one when you were watching me, and then I switched to the other one later, and that one was more like about guarding. Like one of his special attacks was just making everyone have like a shield so they take less damage. And yeah, it's really cute when they're like fighting the enemies and stuff. And again, they're just like, I don't even know how to describe them. They look like little, like a child's drawing of a little monster man with like a weapon. Like they could be holding spears or bows or swords, and they have like a big eyeball in the middle of their body. And the enemies are kind of like the same thing. And I think the first boss was like this giant, was it a crab or a lobster? Some sort of crustacean. And I think he was hiding in like a shell or some bit of garbage. I actually don't remember. But it was hard because like as you're like putting in all these musical notes, there's like a rhythm gauge down below. And you see it just go left to right. Like imagine any rhythm game. And
yeah, it's very constant.
Yeah. I think in Rataton, it's only like 3 notes, whereas Patapon I think might have been 4. But Ratatan is just 3. And even with just 3, like it's hard to like get the rhythm right, because if you mess up the rhythm too much, the little dudes just won't do anything. So like even if you do the input for like attack or guard or rally, if you don't get the rhythm right, they just won't do anything, which is kind of frustrating because then you have to wait for the rhythm thing to start over again. I found it hard to keep my head wrapped around all that, like keeping to the rhythm, because I want to look at the little dudes because they're so cute and fun. And like when they're like all bunched up and like shooting their arrows or hitting each other with the swords, like, oh, that's fun, I want to look at it. But then I'm not paying attention to the rhythm thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess you could just get into that Zen headspace where you're just in the rhythm and you don't have to look at the little meter at the below. But for me, in order to like play properly, I had to watch it and to know when to push the buttons.
It was a little overwhelming, I guess.
Yeah, it's really,
like there's a ton of stuff going on screen.
Yeah.
But until you get used to the rhythm, if you can get used to the rhythm, you have to look at the rhythm gauge, and then that just...
Then you also have to like, where are the enemies? Are we close enough to them? Are they attacking? Because like some of the little dudes, yeah, they're just going to be attacking, like, they're going to be fighting. But some of the big bosses or the big like cannons, they'll like have little warning marks on the ground, like here comes a big attack. So you have to either guard or rally and get them out of the way, and like having to do all that and watch everything and then watch the rhythm gauge and like mentally brace or prepare to like play the rhythm at the right time. It was a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine like the attention is just going like in 5 different directions, and it would be too much. It seems like, at least for me, I would probably want to watch someone who knows, no offense, knows what they're doing for this, just so that like I don't have to worry about playing it. I don't know.
If you can handle the singing, because like I know even watching me that first time, you're like, I can't take this anymore.
That's true. The repetition was painful.
Yeah, because like I think there was like 4 or 6 songs that you would play. There's 2 special attack songs. There's rally, there's defend, and there's attacks. I think there was like 5. I don't know if I'm missing one. And like you just repeat those. So whenever you need to do rally, and it's like pata pata pon or whatever, and you would just hear that. But it's really cute. I like the little voices, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish I liked it more. It has this kind of like a roguelike thing where each run you're starting from scratch, so you're like building your army, so that's kind of neat too. But then when you're back at the base, like you can trade in items to boost certain things, and you find weapons too, because you can equip your troops with weapons. So like, oh, they start with basic gear, but then you can find really good swords and equip it to like the different units. And I don't really understand how that correlates to the dudes you're controlling, because
Are there different dudes? I thought it was just one type.
each commander they specialize in 2 different types. So the first guy I think was like swords and bows. My second team was like javelins and like spears. I think one was like spears and bows, and the other one was like a sword and shield and javelins. So you get a bunch of different weapons that you can find and you can equip to your troops, but like I don't understand how that correlates, because sometimes on certain runs you'll be running with like 5 dudes, or maybe this run will only have 4. So I don't really understand how that works. There's a lot going on. It was fun, but it's definitely probably not a game that I would end up buying. I almost feel like I want to try it again, because like my second run after you left, I did good. I beat the boss and I got to the second stage. Like the first stage was like at this beach where the boss was a crab, and then the second stage was somewhere else and it was too hard. I just ended up dying. I don't know, but I feel like maybe I could keep trying, because like.
And you only play this on the TV in Steam's big screen mode, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if like maybe this applies more to the other one, but if the UI would be easier to see on a smaller screen.
Maybe, because I think Ratatan is also, it's been being made for like the Switch and other consoles, so.
Yeah, maybe playing it on the TV is a little bit too much.
For that, I think it's fine. But for Rotor Sim, yeah, that UI was definitely made for the PC.
Yeah.
But both of these games can be played with a controller. I don't know if I'm talking about any games where it would be. Oh wait, yeah, there's one game I need to talk about that's just a keyboard and mouse, but we'll get to there. I think that's enough for Ratatan. It was cute. I really like the visual style. The songs and the music and all the sounds are like really cute, but they can get grating if you're sensitive to that sort of thing.
Yeah. If you don't like repetition, this is probably not going to be for you.
Maybe I'll try it again. I don't know. I got other demos to get to, but there's still 2 other characters I didn't try, so we'll see.
So the next one I'll talk about is 5-Day Detective. So this is a point-and-click game. It's kind of what you assume. You're playing as a detective. And I don't know. There's probably like a lot of games that you're playing as a detective and you're just like this completely unkept, not alcoholic necessarily, but like your life is falling apart. You're not super great at your job. Like I'm thinking like Disco Elysium, because that starts and you're just a super alcoholic. You wake up like in a motel room. You have no idea what the fuck's going on. You have amnesia. This one's not nearly as bad, but he's not he's not good at his job, or at least I'm assuming he's not super good at his job, because he's completely unkept. Some of the other characters ask like if he's even taken a shower lately.
Nah.
His superior is very pissed off at him. I don't know, it's crazy. I want to try and get into more point and click games, because it feels like they'd just be up my alley, in the sense that like maybe I don't have to worry about fighting and stuff. And I know this happens a lot in older games, and I guess to some extent it still happens, because I was going through this game and you're working in this police.
What happens?
I guess this game, for the demo at least, you're kind of just, there's apparently like this either older teenager or young adult who keeps getting in trouble. And I guess his like nickname is Wrongun or something. Like it's a very British game, so there's some terms that they're using that like we wouldn't use here. So I don't know if like wrong on, like it was wrong in apostrophe UN, wrongin, like
Okay.
wrong one. I don't know.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like the thing that these games run into is like those fail states where you just get stuck.
I was kind of stuck for a little while, and this is where the idea of like some of the things you have to do in a point and click are very obtuse.
Yeah.
And there's this one part where like, oh, okay, I'm trying to prove that wrong one. I'm not going to try and put the accent on it. Wrong one got accused of stealing a handbag from some like rich posh lady. And I have to prove it to wrong one for, I don't know why I have to prove it specifically to him, but whatever. And I was like, oh, I have to go downstairs into the basement because that's where they do like fingerprinting stuff. But when you go into the basement, it's like, oh, it's too dark. So I'm like, okay, I have a lighter on me, so I'll just do the lighter. But the guy's like, oh, the lighter doesn't actually give enough light, unlike what some people want or think, right? So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I make the lighter turn into like more light, right? So I'm like, okay, I have this piece of paper. There's nothing on it, it's just blank printer paper. Maybe I can set that on fire. No, I can't do that. Okay, well, I can't set anything, on fire in my inventory because I'm trying to combine it with other things. That's not working. And I had gone through, there's only like 4 levels to this police department, if you will. I've checked all the rooms. I've gotten all the items because it's pretty obvious like what you can click on and like what you can pick up. And I went through the whole thing. I went outside. Well, apparently he gives, I guess, a vague clue saying like, oh, it looks like there's some light trying to come through the window. And then the silhouette, you see that like there's bags of trash outside. So I go outside and I'm like, okay, maybe I can just move the bags. But how you solve it is setting the bags on fire.
Oh, jeez.
You set the garbage bags on fire instead of just fucking moving them 5 inches to the side. And then while they're on fire and set ablaze, then you go into the basement and you use that light to finish going down the stairs to click on the light. And it was like, I don't know. I guess it's not like the worst thing, but I was fighting for a while, maybe 15 minutes, trying to figure out, okay, how does he want me to set more fire? I've never set a bag of trash on fire before, so it was like something I never would have thought of.
Yeah.
It was just kind of weird.
I mean, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I guess.
That's the thing with these games, too. Like, I'm thinking you could even consider, like, Ace Attorney kind of like one of these games where you're wandering around and trying to figure out what is going to trigger advancement.
Yeah.
And those are good games, too, if you want more games like that. Or the even more point and click would be like the Edgeworth games. I forget what they're called. Ace Attorney Investigator or something, where you're playing as Edgeworth and you're actually like in a side-scrolling kind of point and click.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I want to bring up just one little thing about it being British, because it's like I understand British language, obviously. Like they have some different terms, but it's not too bad. But he was talking about cigarettes, and they don't call them cigarettes, they call them fags. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's gonna, he's like talking to another guy who's smoking in the building, and he's like, you gotta put that fag out, you can't smoke in here and stuff. And it's like, oh yeah, they use that term.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually too bad. It had an interesting art style, and because this is obviously a demo, hopefully in the full game they would add a little bit more animation to things, because it's just one animation for basically everyone's face. Like they don't change if they get mad or something. Like the supervisor lady or whatever her title is, she's just always resting bitch face. She constantly looks angry because that's just her character.
Yeah.
So having more art would be good to see, obviously. But other than like having issues of like, okay, what kind of logic do they want me to use? I could see maybe playing this game more.
Or games like this in general.
Yeah, definitely.
There was a game by Double Fine with, I forget the name of it, starring Danny Calavera, the skeleton dude.
Oh, the investigator one, right?
I forget. God, why can't I remember the name of that game?
But yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
That would be a fun one to play.
That's true. I should definitely be playing more Double Fine games in general.
And we could like, if we played that together, like on the stream, I could have like a spoiler-free walkthrough that I have and you can't look at that I can just use to make sure we don't run into dead ends.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we could try that sometime.
Anyway, in that case, let's move on to the next one. Next one I'm going to talk about is Town to City.
I think I also downloaded the demo to this, so...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to skip it and we can talk about it together next week?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'll just say this. Town to City is a town building game with, I guess, voxel-based graphics.
Yeah.
And it was part of one of the many game shows we saw.
Probably wholesome, I would assume, but who knows?
All I'll say is that I liked it, and I guess we'll talk more about it next week, because I'm sure we both have more demos to get through, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, cool. We'll talk about Town to City next week, then. In that case, I'll move on to Mina the Hollower.
This one's an interesting one.
This one I played through in half an hour. I was done. So it's made by the people that made Shovel Knight, right? Except instead of like a Mega Man game like Shovel Knight was, it's more like Zelda Link's Awakening.
Yeah, the palette is definitely like Game Boy Advance based, I think.
Yeah, it kind of looks like if you were playing a Game Boy Color game. So imagine a Game Boy Color game, but at full 1080p.
And also like darker.
Darker?
It seems the aesthetic is darker instead of like bright and happy.
I mean, I guess. Yeah.
It seemed darker to me. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, yeah. Link's Awakening has some dark moments, but it's still like pretty. It's still a Nintendo. It doesn't get too dark. It's like imagine a Zelda game, a Game Boy Color Zelda game, except you're playing as a little mouse. And the little mouse at the beginning of the game, you're on a ship. You get to choose. The ship gets attacked by a kraken, so you get to choose one of 3 weapons. I didn't know you were gonna get locked in, but I ended up going with the dual swords. The other option was like a kind of like a Morning Star whip thing, so it had longer range, except it attacks slower. And then the final weapon was like this hammer thing, which you would charge up and then like unleash a big attack. So I went with the fast dual swords. I guess you could replay the demo to try the other weapons, but after you deal with the Kraken, or more like the Kraken deals with your ship, you end up on this island. And yeah, imagine like, again, a Zelda game. You're exploring this little island. It's pretty linear, at least in the demo. Like, there's like one branching path, and I think you need to do it anyways. It was fun. I mean, the music is good because they're hiring the same dude that did the music for Shovel Knight. I think his name is like Jake Hoffman.
I would have no idea.
I really like the main theme. There was a lot of less exciting music too, unlike Shovel Knight, because Shovel Knight's like a Mega Man game.
Yeah.
Each stage has their own unique sound. In this, because you're traveling in overworld and eventually a town, and sometimes in caves, like not all of them are great. And I think when you go like into the caves, it's kind of like the same overworld music except toned down. So that was a choice. I mean,
again, it is a demo, so maybe it'll change, and it was just like filler for the moment.
I don't know. I didn't. It kind of reminded me of No, that's not really it. Never mind. Disregard that thought. Anyway, so we make it to, as you're exploring and you're fighting, and you run into the tutorials like, oh, you can dig under the ground. And to dig under the ground, you kind of like, she hops up, goes underground, and then you see like a little dirt pile, and then she pops out. You need to use that to make long jumps. Funny enough. Because like when you're jumping, you can jump like over one space. But if you're doing the underground dash thing, then you pop out of the ground, you can pass over 2 spaces worth of jump, basically, right?
That is an interesting choice, because you'd think having to pop out of the ground you would jump less.
Yeah. You're exploring around. You get sub-weapons like Castlevania, funny enough. I think the first one I got was like this axe, where it acts like the Castlevania axe. You throw it up, it goes into an arc, but then it hits the ground and it does like a little splash damage. Later on, you find one that's kind of like a boomerang. And in like Castlevania, you have like, not hearts, but like weapon energy. I guess, did Shovel Knight work on this? It's been a while since I played Shovel Knight, but come to think of it, they might have been similar in that regard.
Is there I might be misremembering. I've never played a Castlevania technically. Was there one where it's like a book and it rolls like roams around you and it acts like a shield, or
Yeah, there's a few Castlevanias where one of the sub weapons is the Bible, and
does Mina get like a shield kind of weapon or sub weapon? I guess.
I only saw the two, the axe and the boomerang dagger thing. Because the boomerang was like a dagger, and I thought it was going to be like a Castlevania dagger where you just shoot it straight out. But she shoots it, it spins around, and then comes back at you.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah. Anyway, as you play through this, you eventually reach the town, because like Mina was invited to visit the town because apparently she invented some device and it's malfunctioning, and it's this big thing. I don't know. I didn't really understand what the heck they were talking about. You get to the town, and then the mayor's like, oh yeah, we got this thing out there. Can you come out and we're going to fix it together or something? I don't really understand what they're going on about, but I don't know if that's my fault for not paying enough attention or if it becomes more clear later. The story and the setup isn't like the most intriguing thing ever. I'm going to be honest with you.
Was Shovel Knight more so?
Shovel Knight was simpler, and
Because, like, there's a part of the story of Shovel Knight where it's like he's trying to save his girlfriend, right?
kinda, yeah. I guess it's more cliche, but it's also a simpler motivation to follow. You don't really have to think too deeply of it. There's not a lot of like dialogue. In this, there's a lot more dialogue. Lots of people want to be talking to you. Anyway, you make it to town, and yeah, after you meet your friend or the guy that invited you, you go out to the main garden plaza area in front of the mayor's mansion, and you get attacked, and I guess technically it's the second boss, but the first boss was so easy that I barely remember it. It was like just this big rat dude. The second boss is more like a duel with this other mouse looking guy, and I don't understand their motivations. There's like this splinter group of the town, because like some of the police officers in the town will attack you, and then some of the other ones will be like, oh, those are traitors. So it's like, I don't know. There's something going on. I'm not really here to digest the story too much. But the final boss of the demo, yeah, it was like this duel with this one of these little mouse dudes, and I lost the first time, and it felt like, oh, this is going to be like a hard Souls kind of boss, or even like Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight? Shovel Knight. I'm sorry, a lot of knights. The bosses can be like, pretty hard. And I was at the point of the demo where I'm like, I'm not really super feeling this, so I'll give this boss one more try, but if I don't beat it, it's just like, whatever, I'm done. I did end up beating it, so it wasn't super hard. I did it was down to the wire, because I went through, you get like these, I don't want to say Estus flasks, but basically you get like 3 healing items that get restored every time you reach a checkpoint. But they heal depending on how much damage you do to the enemy. It's kind of hard to explain, but like, imagine your life bar, and imagine you've taken you're down to like 50% of your life, right?
Yeah.
You have to be attacking the enemy to fill in like a secondary life bar that's yellow. Your main one's red, that's your life, but then there's like a yellow one after, and the more you attack the enemy, the bigger that yellow gets. And that's depending on that yellow bar is what you heal when you use one of your flasks.
Weird.
So
that
if you
seems kind of convoluted, but
if you just heal without having any yellow, you're not going to heal at all, basically.
Oh, that's fucked.
So it's not just defensive, and you will be punished if you're not, engaging in the fight.
Is she like a vampire almost? It seems like, oh, you have to take their life to recover.
I have no
life.
idea. I don't know. I'm not doing a good job explaining the story because I didn't really go into this game wanting a story about a little mouse girl who's like, I don't know, here to fix some invention and fight bad guys. Maybe I went into this game just expecting something completely different, because I absolutely love Shovel Knight, and I played through Shovel Knight, and I played through the Plague Knights DLC, and then I think King Knight was the last DLC.
Well, Shovel Knight was like a platformer type of thing.
Yeah.
I guess this is, like you said, going after like a Legend of Zelda type of thing, or an RPG.
It's kind of like a Legend of Zelda. Imagine a Link's Awakening if it was more action-y and less explory puzzly. I guess that's the best way I can put it. It's definitely more focused on the action. Was there any puzzles that I had to solve? I guess the exploration itself can be a puzzle, but not really that much. Once you figure out your movements and the environments, it's really not that hard to figure out how to move around the world. But again, it's just a demo. It's just the beginning of the game, so who knows? Maybe later on there'll be puzzles, but I guess that's the best way of saying it. It's basically imagine a Link's Awakening, except you're a little mouse and all the characters are furries, and it's more action based than puzzles. And it was okay, I guess.
It sounds like you're not like.
I'm not super feeling it. No,
Yeah.
despite really loving Yacht Club games and Shovel Knight. I'll probably look at the reviews later. Maybe it'll surprise me, but if I was pressed right now to buy it or not, I wouldn't.
It's just not your vibe.
It's just not my thing. So it was cool, but probably not for me. But it was still cool, and I really love Shovel Knight, so whatever.
Okay, this one's going to be pretty quick because the demo was probably not even like a half hour long. It's just like seeing the basic idea behind the game, which I guess is demos in general, whatever. This one is already fun because of how the play of the title. Building relationships. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I remember everyone really getting crazy excited about it. Like, oh, this looks so funny because it's buildings and they talk to each other. And I was just like, okay, but what is the game? And is it even going to be fun to play? Like, you can make a goofy scenario, but is it going to be any good? So it any good?
This is like, I don't know if there's necessarily a game to pair it with that I've played anyways, or that even you've played. You're playing as a building, and you're like just a general single family home with like a red roof. And you go to this island because you're going on vacation. And this island is, I forget if it had a specific name or if it was just like, oh, this is like a pleasure island, it's a vacation island. So all the other NPCs that are there to just have a vacation. Everything, all the other NPCs are also like, not necessarily houses, but buildings. The title is Building Relationships. Yeah. You meet up with the first building. I forget if it's a specific type of building. It had a green roof on it, and their name was Mint. And they're like taking you through the tutorial. They're like, hey, welcome to Vacation Island or whatever, and are you here to like enjoy yourself? Do you want to make friends? There's like dialogue choices that you can make when they ask you questions and stuff.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, I guess it's maybe what you would call like a PS2 kind of graphic type of style. There's also like a filter on it. I don't know what the filter would be called or whatever. You roll around as the building. And oddly enough, the direction I thought that would be easiest to roll the building around to get around the island. And it turns out, like, oddly enough, going in a different way seems to get you around a bit easier. You get a satellite dish as your first item, and you put that... Well, you don't put it on your house, it's just a dish and whatever. And that gives you the ability to jump.
Oh, okay.
Not super high at first. I think you can collect additional satellites, and that'll make your jump higher.
Okay.
It's
why satellites for jumping? I thought you were going to say it was like a map.
No, it's just I don't know. It's weird.
Okay.
But like this entire game is just like really weird, ridiculous humor, but like in a good way.
Okay.
Mint is also like, oh, okay, you probably here and you want to do like bachelor stuff, but they say like Bachelor X, I guess, that because they don't know, like, are you gonna be a guy looking for a guy or a girl looking for a guy, or they don't know your relationship.
Gender neutral bachelorette.
Yeah, so it's like Bachelor X.
Okay.
They say, oh, well, go down to the beach and find this first Bachelor X. So you go, and I think the first Bachelor X is like a windmill.
Okay.
And their name is Millie, so maybe her name is Millie. And she's like, oh, what's your name? And you can either say, oh, my name is House, or my name is, what was it? Samantha or something. Like, they're all building puns. And even like the really weird, like, it goes off of the dating simulator tropes.
Yeah.
So You can also like talk to Mint at some point and like, oh, are you a Bachelor X? And they're like, well, not really, unless no, it's okay. And like, it's I don't know, it's goofball type of stuff.
Okay.
And like the sexual jokes are also based on building stuff. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's bonkers. But yeah, you're just rolling around talking to the other house NPCs. The next Bachelor X was like a tent, like just a red tent. Their name was Tenant. So their names are also like puns on whatever type of building they are.
Yeah.
So you meet the two Bachelor X, and then Mint is like, oh, you should come up to the flower patch or whatever that's higher up the hill. And I forget if they specified like, oh, we're going to make a snack or a meal or something. And you're like, but these are houses, so like, what the fuck? So you slowly roll and jump your way up to the flower patch. And Mint is like, oh, here, I got the ingredients for you, so you make the meal or whatever for basically everyone, which right now is just like 4 NPCs.
Okay.
3 NPCs, including you. Well, the meal is actually just like putting together furniture IKEA-wise.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say the meal was people.
No. There's no people. And I will say you meet one other NPC and they're like, oh, I'm stuck on this little lake or pond or something. I want to make this. They're doing like a research paper and they're like, oh, you need to go fish for me. But when you go fish, you're not fishing up fish, you're fishing up like SUVs or something. Like there's just little SUVs and cars like just roaming around in the water like fish.
Okay.
It's ridiculous. So the first meal you make is actually like a little table.
Coffee table?
Yeah, it's like a little coffee table.
Okay.
So you get all the parts and yeah, you have this little booklet, like an IKEA booklet. And it's like, okay, take this first part and put it down on the cooking table or whatever. And then it snaps down. And then, okay, now you have to take these 4 screws, but it has to be the long screws, not the small screws. So you put in the 4 screws. And then you put on the legs, and then there's a middle part and stuff. And it's just like, as you're making it, the other 3 NPC houses, buildings, are making like these really silly comments about it, like, oh, I love that this is made out of teak, or this would look really good in my bedroom. Or I was waiting for one of them to make the comment of like, oh yeah, screw that into me, or something like really ridiculous and sexualized. And then you all share the meal afterwards, and they're like, "Oh, that was so good. Thank you for that meal." Or it's fucking bonkers, but like that's why I like it.
So you did like it?
Yeah, and
Okay.
like I want more.
Okay.
It was a very short demo, but it's just so fucking ridiculous, and I think that's what makes it great.
Well, good. I'm glad you liked it. I wasn't sure if you're when you first started talking about it. I thought like, oh, did you not like it? But I guess you did, so that's good.
Yeah, if you like dumb, ridiculous humor and don't mind buildings making sexual comments that are somehow related to buildings and furniture and stuff, you'd probably be okay with this.
So this is more of a dialogue game than anything.
Yeah, it's like a 3D dating simulator.
Okay. Makes sense. It's in the name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 games left. And these are the 2 games that I probably my 2 favorite demos so far.
Yay.
First one I'll talk about is Ball X Pit. I played this for about an hour and a half. It's a roguelike, vampire survivor-like kind of game where you start a run and you level up, and each level up you pick a different like weapon or skill or whatever, right? You start with a knight character, and he starts with a ball, like a morning star kind of ball, which is like a spiky ball. Yeah. And yes, they are all balls because this is a breakout kind of game. Do you remember what breakout is?
Yes.
Okay. So unlike classic breakout where there's just like blocks up there and you're a paddle that's moving left and right, instead of being a paddle, you're like a little dude. And the first dude is like a knight, except you can go up and down, not just left and right. But it's basically, yeah, the little ball goes up and it starts hitting these little blocks, but the blocks are like skeletons.
Gotcha.
Some of the blocks are just one block wide. Some of them are like too wide or too tall. And some of them are like an L shape or a big square. And there's even bosses that are even bigger.
Are they almost like Tetris piece looking?
Some of the bigger ones can be like L-shaped or whatever, but most of them are kind of small.
Okay.
And yeah, there's like a constant wave of these blocks coming down, and they're like little skeletons that are like wiggling around. Some of the skeletons have bows and they'll shoot you with arrows. But the ones that are melee, like if you get too close to them, they can attack you. But if they get to the bottom of the screen, they'll automatically attack you. They'll like jump at you. So your job is to basically break all these skeleton blocks before they get to the bottom and avoid any of their attacks. As you blow them, or as you break them up with your balls, you level up and you get to choose different, like I said, different either perks. You can choose balls or you can choose equipment. The balls are like different types of attacks. Like, for example, like a poison ball that when you hit an enemy, it releases a poison cloud and does damage over time. Or like a vampire ball that will like have a chance to heal you. Or like a laser ball that will shoot a laser like horizontally or vertically, depending on which one you pick. Or like an earthquake ball that does like an AoE earthquake. Or a ghost ball that goes through the enemies and doesn't bounce back.
So there's like a lot of variety already.
Yeah. A fireball that like does fire damage over time, an ice ball that can freeze enemies, etc., etc., etc. The neat thing is, as you're leveling these up, each ball has like, well, each item that you pick up has like 3 levels. So when you first pick a new ball, like for example, the fireball. When you have the fireball, like it'll do like X amount of damage, but then level it up to level 2, it'll do X times 2 damage, or whatever the number is, right? So it'll start doing more damage. Once you hit level 3, that's its cap. Now the thing that happens is that sometimes when you beat an enemy, they'll drop either XP, money, or if you're lucky, and this happens often, so it's not uncommon, but little fusion thingies. They look like little rainbow balls. When you collect those, you'll either level up your items. It'll either level up like a few of your items by 1 or 2 levels randomly. But if you have a couple of items that are like maxed out, you can actually fuse them together.
Ooh.
So for example, one of the balls is like a spider egg sac.
Oh, jeez.
So when you shoot it out and it hits an enemy, it'll burst into a bunch of little balls. Now, if you have that maxed out and you have like the fireball maxed out, you can merge them together, and then once that little egg sac bursts open, all the little balls that pop out are fireballs.
Sweet.
So it's like you're making like little, figuring out synergies to work together. Like the vertical and horizontal laser balls, if you level them both up together, they have like an advanced fusion. So there's fusion, but then there's also evolution. Some of them have an evolution that is even better than the fusion.
So you combine them, and then that combination has its own 3 levels?
Yes.
Ah, sweet.
So like the laser ones will turn into like this holy cross thing, which will do a laser in all 4 directions. But then there's also like, if you combine the ice ball with the, I forget which laser, if the vertical or horizontal. If those get merged together into the evolution, then like when the ball hits the enemy, it shoots out like a 4-way freezing laser, which is really good. So like as you're playing through the game, you're trying to like figure out, which balls am I going to get, and are they going to have a cool evolution thing together, or is it just going to be like a standard fusion? Because the evolutions are better, but the fusions are still really good too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So that's kind of like the gameplay loop. You're blasting these bricks apart and, trying to keep your damage up with the increasing waves of enemies and like being able to beat the bosses too. Now, most of the bosses are just like a big block that takes longer to kill. The second boss is like this archer skeleton that shoots a bunch of arrows, so you have to watch out for that. And then the final boss has like a gimmick where you can only hit it from behind.
Tricky.
Yeah, so like, you're building stuff to try to figure out how to do that. Like if you have the laser ball, when you hit that skeleton, because the laser goes through the body, it'll still hit his weak spot. Or if you have like the ghost ball, it'll go straight through him anyways. So another interesting one was like the wind ball, because the wind ball would go through enemies like the ghost ball does too. But if you combine that with the earthquake ball, it makes like a sandstorm ball. So there's all sorts of different things like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, it sounds interesting because, like, I guess I saw a preview of what you're talking about while you were watching another YouTuber.
Yeah, I was watching a YouTuber this morning that was playing it.
So I never really thought of, taking, like, everyone knows Breakout, but this is such a different style of Breakout. And it was like, wow, I'm surprised no one's thought of that kind of idea before.
You don't even have to play it like Breakout too much, because, like, in Breakout, if the ball goes behind you, you lose. But if the ball goes behind you in this, it just bounces up back towards you. There is still a benefit of catching it, because if you catch it, you shoot it out earlier. So you're just doing more damage if you do that. But it gets so chaotic because not only do you have your main, like, ball that you start with, you also shoot out little, what they call baby balls, which are just like little white balls that don't have, they don't have any, like, special abilities. Like the chain ball, the Morningstar ball you start with, like, it's spiky, so it causes bleed damage. Your little baby balls just do damage, so they don't have any special effects.
Although it's interesting that you could do bleed damage on skeletons,
But some of the balls later on, like, another one that's kind of, like, similar to the egg sac is, like, called the brood mother, and it's like this insect-looking thing. And when that collides with an enemy, it spawns a single baby ball. And similar to the other one, if you fuse that with, like, freeze or laser, then the little baby balls that thing shoots out will have these special effects. So it's like, not only are you building up your main 4 attack balls, but then, like, you're fusing them, and some of those will also spit out little baby balls that will have those effects applied to them too.
Now it sounds like the weapon variety is, like, really big.
Especially with the fusions and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. But when you talked about the enemies, okay, I get that they're, like, block-based in a sense, but you only mentioned skeletons. Is that the only enemy type?
It's hard to say because it's a demo, and you're only on the first stage.
Okay.
Now, when you look at the stage thing, it's like there seems to be like 5, 7, 8 more stages, but they're not in the demo.
Obviously.
So there's another aspect to this game. Once you beat the final boss of this little stage area, which, you know, it's going to probably take you a few tries to do that, maybe, unless you get lucky. I don't know. I didn't beat him on my first try. I don't think I even got to him on my first try. After you lose a run or finish a run, you get brought back out to the main town area. And it's kind of like Loop Hero, where you're building a little town as well. Except it's more, I don't want to say restricted, because you can't expand it in the demo, but there is an option to expand your town too. But basically, I think in the demo you get like a 4x3 space to plop down, like, farms, forests, rocks, or buildings. Now, when you hit, like, the forests and farms, you're getting, like, food and wood, and the stone will give you, like, well, stone, right?
Yeah.
You use that to build the buildings. So once you have enough, like, wood, you can, one of the first buildings you get is like a sheriff thing, a sheriff house, or sheriff department, whatever you want to call it. You plop that down, and that takes a few hits to build, because, okay, when you're harvesting these elements, you can only do it once per run. You're basically, like, going to this little space, and you're shooting off your dude, and he flies around the area like a bouncy ball. Everything he goes over, he'll collect wheat, or if he bounces into the forest, he'll collect wood. And if he hits the house, he'll start building. You need to bounce into the house like 5 or 7 times for it to be complete.
Holy shit.
You could just, like, put the house, like, at the bottom, and then just, like, bounce up into it and just bounce back and forth and finish it real quick. So it's not that hard. After you build that sheriff department, you unlock another character, which is like a shooty dude. He's got, like, a little musketeer hat on, and
like a gunslinger.
Yeah, like a little cowboy dude. And his gimmick is he can move and shoot, and it won't affect his speed. I didn't mention this before, but with the knight dude, he's kind of like a generic, no special attribute. But when you're throwing the balls out, you move a little bit slower. But you can also just turn auto throw on, and that's what I did. So I'm basically always throwing. I didn't really notice the speed thing too much.
That sounds cheaty.
It's not. It's part of the game.
Okay.
I can't imagine playing this where you're manually throwing the things all the time, because you're throwing so many balls out. Anyway, the shooty dude, he moves faster, and he starts with a different kind of ball. The other guy started with the ball, the spiky ball. This guy starts with the fireball. And it's basically the same, except he can move faster, and starts with a different thing. eventually you'll unlock another character who's like, God, I don't remember what he's called either. But he starts with an ice ball, and his gimmick is the more the ball bounces, the more damage it'll do. So maybe instead of shooting directly at the enemies, you'll shoot like at the wall to make it bounce. So by the time it hits the enemies, it does more damage.
Does it reset if you catch it?
His quote unquote downside is if the ball hits the end of the screen, it comes all the way back to you. It just goes through the enemies and comes right back to you. Whereas like the other guy, like the fireball guy,
it just continues to bounce.
Yeah, if you get it behind the enemies, it's just going to bounce up and down, and like do a bunch of damage.
Yeah.
So he gets the bonus of like if you bounce on the sides, he'll do more damage, but once it hits the top, it's going to fly right back towards you, which can be good too because it can fly through all the enemies and go through them. It's not always good to go through the enemies. Like one of my first playthroughs, I was like, oh, I want the ghost ball that goes through the enemy, and I'll get the wind ball that also goes through the enemies. So I didn't have a lot of bouncing things. And then, yeah, my DPS kind of fell off. I was hitting everything, but like not bouncing around enough to do like a ton of damage.
Interesting.
So there's like all sorts of different builds that you can mess around with. And like the other items that you get are like equipment, and they do things like if you hit an enemy from behind, it'll have like a 20% critical chance. Or if you hit an enemy from the front, it'll do that. Or you shoot 50% faster, or there's going to be 50% more baby balls that you can shoot out, but then like your aim goes down. Or another one that's really weird is like your balls come out like 50% slower, but each time they bounce, they like get a huge speed boost. So needless to say, this is one of those games like any of those Survivor games where you start a new game, a new run, you make a new build as you play, and sometimes you get some really fun synergies, some really fun fusions.
This sounds like a fun game to give it a shot.
Yeah, and like I only played the first stage because that's all in the demo, but after you beat the boss, you get like a gear. Beat it again with a different character, you get another gear. Once you got two,
gear as in like equipment, or
gear as in like a like a rotating mechanical gear.
The cog, yeah.
Those get placed into the town because the town is like on this moving elevator thing. I think it's like supposed to be like an inverted Tower of Babylon or something, but you're going down into the earth. After you get those two gears, you unlock the second stage, and maybe that second stage has something else other than skeletons.
Yeah, fair.
So I don't know. I'm assuming it's not going to be just skeletons, but ultimately it doesn't really matter too much, at least not yet, because like they're just little blocks. They're not like walking at you.
No, I mean that's fair.
I guess you can kind of imagine them walking at you, but I mean it's a breakout block. The boss of the stage does look like an actual like skeleton thing, and he's not just a block, so he's kind of cool. But yeah, it's really good, and I've seen a lot of people on YouTube that are really loving it too. I think this game, if you look at the Steam Next Fest top charts, it's up there amongst the top. And yeah, I think they're gonna go places. They're gonna be successful.
That's good.
Which
is this their? Do you know if this is their first game, or if
I have no idea. I have no idea. I will say I hope that they get more music, because the music track that you hear on this first stage is just like, oh god, it's kind of droning after a while.
That's fair.
But yeah, it was interesting. It's a lot of fun to like, you have 3 characters eventually that you can get, and like all the different builds you can try to figure out, and combining it, especially trying to figure out which 2 balls evolve into like a super different fun ball to use. Like that Sandstorm one was really good. But yeah, I liked it. We'll see. I'll probably end up playing it more at some point once the final game comes out. But Ball X Pit, it was really good.
Sounds good. So I guess I'll go over one more game, and I'm going to pick another one that I think is more indie than the other one that has such high-profile voice actors that I'm sure they'll be fine. So one of the other ones that I played, which is like another puzzle game, was Asocial Giraffe.
Asocial?
Yes.
Not antisocial?
Nope.
Okay.
So...
what does asocial mean?
I don't know what the specific difference between asocial versus antisocial. I guess because how the giraffe character works, he doesn't want interaction, but not like in an angry way, which I don't know if that's what would be different from antisocial.
Okay.
He just gets extremely nervous. Like,
Okay.
it's like super social anxiety, but dialed up to 11, I guess. I'm not entirely sure. Because, like, I have social anxiety issues too, but I don't have it quite like this poor giraffe. And I'm not entirely sure if it's like, I don't know, a more extreme version of what you might call as mental illness. It's probably looking too much into a game.
Yeah.
Because I know there are a lot of indie games out there that want to look more into various mental illnesses that people go through. Like, I've played multiple demos that have to deal with that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a puzzle game, and you're playing as this giraffe, and you just kind of have to figure out how to go around in these various... I guess some are more interactions than others. Like, okay, the first level, or at least that I remember, you're going to a grocery store because you want to buy a green tea. But inside the store, there's two, like, the little kiosks where they're giving free samples.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out how to get the crowd of people... Because there's one crowd that goes between the two little kiosks. And you have to figure out how to draw the crowd from one kiosk so you can bypass it without the girl giving out free samples talking to you.
Oh, jeez, okay.
Because if you do, well, she starts talking too much. And it's interesting because, like, I kind of like the dialogue that happens in this game because it's just people, like... talking about random shit.
It's cute.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't handle it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm saying he. I don't actually know if the giraffe technically has a gender. I'm just going to use he. He can't handle it, and every time someone talks to him and just rambles on about their random shit, he, like... his little drawing fills up with red, but I don't think he's angry. But when it reaches his head, he gets, like, the swirly eyes, and... steam comes out of his ears and it gives off like the tea kettle sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny. And then it's like, oh, you have to try again to try and solve the puzzle.
Oh, okay. He doesn't like fall over or go on a rampage.
No, he doesn't go on a rampage. Again, he's not angry about
Yeah,
this.
gotcha.
He's just scared shitless. And it was interesting because like the first couple of times I played this, I almost wondered if I had to like almost activate the first
Meltdown?
Yeah, because like you just play again. There's no like lose factor, I guess. Like you don't lose the game. You just okay, try again. And the little puzzle to figure out, okay, the crowd has to be over here so I can go past her. Then I have to put the drink. There's two different drinks. There's like the green tea drink and the I think it's like strawberry tea or something like that. And you have to switch it on the display so that the crowd will then go to the second kiosk and then you can walk past her. And then you have to like move a chair so you can get the higher drink. And it's all this like switching around, and then I could finally pay for the item or something. I forgot if I had to figure out a puzzle to get around the cash register or if he just manages to survive that. And then the second puzzle was he needed to get a photo done for his ID, I guess. So he goes to the ID office, and you have to figure out how to get the person there's a person at the copier, and you have to figure out how to get them to pay attention to something else so that you can get past them and into the...
Without them talking to you.
Yes.
Everyone wants to talk to you.
Basically. And it's just, he's just absolutely, maybe not paranoid. He's just scared shitless. And
He has social anxiety.
oh, it is, yeah. I don't know if there's someone that has social anxiety this bad, because holy shit. Like, I know you don't like conversations, but you're not going to, like, pass out if someone talks to you on the street or something.
No. We have a neighbor that, loves to chat, and I'm
Yes.
just, like, mentally looking at I don't wear a watch, but, like, mentally looking at my watch, like, oh, God, I gotta find a way out of this conversation to go home.
Whereas, like, I can handle the conversation, because it's, like, as long as I don't have to talk too much. But then, like, sometimes I do talk. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's a little puzzle game. The animation and art style is just absolutely fucking adorable. It's super simple, and oddly enough, I think that was kind of causing issues with my computer because the animations, the style is so simple that I think my GPU was making too many frames compared to what my monitor can handle, so there was a ton of screen tearing. But when I went into settings, there wasn't an option yet because it's just a demo for VSync. So it was just weird playing this really easy game visually, but there was so much screen tearing, it was like kind of disappointing. I felt so bad because like I know VSync is an option games can enable, but I don't know how you program that in.
Yeah, me neither.
So maybe they don't know either. Whatever. So just as a quick aside, I think I figured out how to get my GPU to like have a global setting of enabling VSync.
Yeah.
So I'll actually try the demo again just to see if that fixes it. But yeah, it was really cute, and like I hope the game goes well and stuff. And you know, it's just, again, it's a simple game. Maybe I don't know if the story will go more into like how this poor giraffe's mental health, if it's just going to be like this the entire game, or if there's like a character arc where he like slowly builds up over time or something. I don't know.
Guess we'll see.
So I thought it was cute.
Yeah, it looks cute.
Yeah. If you like cartoons and stuff, I think this would be like right up your alley.
All right, I got one more game to talk about for this week, and I think that's it. You're out as well?
I mean, I have other demos, but it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I have a few other that I'm just not going to talk about because, you know what they say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, the last game that I'm going to talk about, probably my favorite so far. Played this one for about 2.5 hours.
Oh, damn.
Although some of that might be some figuring out bugs that I ran into.
Oh.
But even with some, honestly, game-breaking bugs,
Oof.
It was still my favorite demo.
Hey, I mean, if a game's good, it's good. Again, a demo, it's going to have some issues.
So the game is called Althea, the Wrath of Aferi? Aferi? A-F-E-R-I. I guess it's a name, Afeti.
Yeah,
Althea, the Wrath of Afeti. It's basically, imagine kind of like a Zelda action-adventure game. You're playing as this girl, I guess is she Althea? I think they called her Lily in the game. I don't remember her name, actually. But that's not important. You're playing this cute anime-looking girl. It's not really anime. It's kind of like not derogatorily, but like just the Western kind of, not really Fortnite style. It leans more towards anime. It's got a nice visual style to it, like a Zelda game.
Is it 3D or 2D?
Yes, 3D.
Okay.
It's a 3D action-adventure kind of game. So you're playing as this girl, and she has like this little shadow fox companion. At first, it just seems like this like ghost fox thing, but because this is a demo, I'm sure it's not at the very beginning of the game. So there's like story stuff in the beginning that is skipped over. I don't really know who this fox guy is, but he's helping her. They're partners, and she's on like this trial. You get to this like temple, and there's like this lady in like an owl mask or something, or I don't know. She looked weird, but she's like, okay, this is the trial you got to do. So you go into this like room, and there is a little bit of combat in the game because it's like a Zelda game. It's not like super hard or anything, but you got your little sword slashes and you're dodging, and your little fox friend can help in multiple ways. He can either, if you press like the triangle, but I was playing with the DualShock controller, but if you press like the triangle button, he would like attack. But you could also press like, I forget what button it is, but like he can also like, I don't know if he's possessing your sword or like imbuing it with energy, and it turns your little one-handed sword into like a two-handed sword.
Fancy.
And you do like really heavy attacks with it. He can also like make little magical bombs. And then there's some enemies where he has to like do his little attack where he'll like yank out this little shadow thing from these like corrupted bits of the world. And he like bites it, and then it turns into like this little goldfish looking thing, and then the corruption goes away. So
What the
there's
fuck?
there's these the elements kind of like, I don't want to say like Okami, but like a lot of games do this. We're like, ooh, there's like purple black corruption, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the color of corruption. But you find the cores and he can break it, and then the corruption goes away and the area becomes nice again. And then you can progress because maybe
Yeah.
it's like blocking certain sections. Now, unfortunately, one of the most important skills is like you can also use a bow. And like your little fox friend will give you like magical arrows, so you never run out. You have like a stock of 3 and they refresh really quick. But there is a bug in this demo that a lot of people on the discussions were running into, and I ran into too a couple of times, where you push the button to bring up the bow and it just doesn't work.
No.
And that's a problem because sometimes you need the bow.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, yeah, that is a major bug that if you run into that, basically the thing you can do is go into the menu and either quit to the main menu or restore from checkpoint. Luckily, if you restore from checkpoint or even quit, the progress you're making as you're going through the quest or whatever is saved, but you do have to start at the beginning of the dungeon again. But
That's
it's not like a
unfortunate.
huge dungeon. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 ish rooms, with the 5th room being like the big final puzzle room. It's annoying to have to like, oh, the bow's broken, so I have to restart and run back. But I enjoyed the game enough that I put up with that because I wanted to see it through, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good sign. In the very beginning of the game, or the first room, there's like this, it looks like the little corrupted flower things. And if you shoot it with your arrow, they like close up. So it feels like, oh, I gotta shoot all 3. But you can't really shoot all 3 before like the first one opens up again.
Uh-oh.
I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the hell I was doing wrong here. But the thing is, you just don't have the right equipment for it yet. But I didn't know that was a thing that was going to happen. So anyway, I do eventually explore around. Like it's like a Zelda dungeon. Like there's some water you have to swim down into. You go through this tunnel. You do a little thing, hit a little switch, then like the water starts flooding up a bit. Then you do that another time. The water floods up to the maximum, and then you can reach the next point you need to get to.
Now, what kind of view is this? Like top-down dungeon style?
Imagine a Zelda game.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Again, like a Ocarina of Time or Breath of the Wild. It's third person kind of view.
Oh, okay. That kind.
Yeah. That leads out to like after you get through there, there's like another place that has another puzzle, some more puzzles. So there's lots of puzzles. Imagine a Zelda dungeon, tons of little puzzles. Like the second puzzle is like, oh, there's a pillar in the middle, and you have to line up the things right and then shoot things into it that like it makes a laser that opens up it hits a thing in the wall and then opens up a gate. And then you go down there and there's like another puzzle. It's like, oh, there's these 4 things, like a fox, a woman, a bird, and a whale. I forget the 4th one. And like you have to hit them in the right order or something. And again, you do that opens up another path. And then you get to like this area where there's this big salamander looking thing. And this salamander is just like shooting a ton of like fire. You have to like sneak around. The little fox dude's like, oh, we can't defeat this thing, so we have to distract it. There's like little bells throughout the area, and you can shoot the bells and that'll like draw its attention. It doesn't move around. It's like in one spot, but it'll shoot at it, right? So that's how you get around that area. And there's like a puzzle. And here's the second problem with the demo.
Uh-oh.
I could not figure out what the hell I was supposed to do here. So I went onto the Steam forums to see if anyone else was having this issue, and somebody had posted like their playthrough. And that's even there, like, oh, I didn't know what to do here, but like I noticed I could do this. Apparently, another thing you can do with your little fox friend. One thing I didn't mention, the fox friend apparently is like a shaman or something, and like he is also like a human or an elf or whatever the hell these people are.
Is he just like stuck in his fox form?
He seems to want to be in his fox form a lot, but there are certain things, like one of the attacks you can do, or one of the buttons you press, like square. If you hit square, he comes out and he does like this little shield. But it's also like a stasis, and like it can make enemies move slower and freeze certain things. But he can't do it for too long. You get like a little magic meter that recharges. Another thing you can do is if you find a switch, you can just have him pull it. And I didn't know this at first, because there's this gate. When you pull the switch, the gate goes down, but when you let go, it comes back up. And you need to get through there. It's like, how do I do this? Turns out it's very simple. You look at the switch, you hit your little partner button, and he'll like come out of his fox form, turn into his human form, he'll hold the switch down, and then you can go in.
But they never explain it.
No, and I was looking at the Steam boards, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is totally on us. We screwed up. This is explained earlier in the game,
Oh, yeah.
but that's not in the demo."
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, so it's like, oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
But if you can figure that out by yourself, or like I did, I just went on blind and saw the thing. Yeah, he opens the switch. There's a block in there. You pull out the block, put it down on this other switch on the ground, and that opens the second gate behind you, where there's a switch that opens the door you need to get through. So it illustrates that this game not only is your partner helpful in combat by like doing the little attacks or like clearing out the corruption, or providing like this weird like
Shield.
yeah, and like the bombs buffing up your attacks. Like he has a lot of ways that he can help you. But another thing is too, he can also hit switches and stuff and interact with the environment. And while he's doing that stuff, he can't fight with you. So it's like there's a give and take. It's really cool. I like that. It's a neat little idea of this like companion you have who does not get in the way at all. He can help you fight, but he can also help you solve puzzles in the world.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That was really cool. After I figured that out, we go to the next section. There's like some fighting that needs to be done. Here's where I ran into another issue.
Oof.
Because of the bug, the bow bug. I ran into the bug again where I couldn't pull out my bow. So I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to keep going until I get stuck. I get to these enemies, and like most of the enemies I can clear out just fine. But there's one enemy that once you lower his life, like a little flower kind of pops out of him. And you have to shoot that flower with a bow and arrow. So if you can't access that, you're just stuck. So I had to restart. I ran all the way back. Luckily, the salamander boss guy wasn't there anymore, so I can just run through this area easily. I fight the little guys again, kill the dude with the bow and arrow, and I'm all set. Go to the next area, and the final area is like this big puzzle room. There's basically like these 4 light bulbs. They're not really light bulbs, but they're like circular spheres that glow.
Yeah.
You have to carry them to certain areas. And again, the little fox guy will help you by hitting switches that you need to go through. And then there's this one point where he can like control these golems. So he'll be like controlling the golem. You'll jump up on top of the golem. He'll move the golem and then like make the golem's arms go up so you can like access new areas. And like you're solving these puzzles. And another one was like, there was another part where he had to push the blocks. So you had to like step on certain things to open up the path for him to push the block down. And then you're working together to solve these puzzles. It's really cool. It almost reminded me of A Tale of Two Brothers. Do you remember that game?
Vaguely, yeah.
Where you would be controlling 2 characters at once.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would do that as you're solving the puzzles with him, and it's really cool. It was like not only like, oh, okay, granted, block pushing is not the most innovative thing in the world, but whatever. But like the part where he was controlling the golems that he was like carrying you around with, that was really cool.
So it seems like there are some unfortunate bugs, but that like the companion AI is actually really good.
It's not an AI so much because like you'll be telling him what to do.
Oh, okay.
Like once we get to the part with the golem, I tell him, okay, get into that thing so you can control the golem, and then you're controlling your character with the left stick, and then using the controls for him to move the golem left and right and up and down.
Okay, it kind of sounded like. Okay, I get the idea that you were telling him to control the golem, but that he was somehow controlling it himself.
No, you still tell him what to do.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And yeah, like eventually you get all the little things into the puzzle box where they need to go, and you get to the end of the screen, and there's like this, I don't know how to describe it. It's this big, like, kind of looks like an aquarium or like a big screen like with glass, and there's like corruption in there, and you have to like guide these little lights that like gather up the little balls in there and move it to the center. But he has to do it too. You're controlling him too, so you're controlling your left stick and your right stick to like solve this puzzle at the same time. Once you finish that, you get through that area and you unlock a bow upgrade. Now this bow upgrade,
can you use it?
Luckily I didn't run into the bow bug yet on this section of my run. It makes it so that you can shoot a different kind of arrow. And this arrow is kind of like, I don't know if there's an equivalent in a Zelda game, but there's plenty of games that have done this kind of thing where like before you shoot, you're aiming and like the reticle will save on like a certain thing.
Yeah.
So you can target like 3 things at once and then shoot.
Right.
Then it'll go out, it'll burst into 3 and hit all 3 things at once. And that's how you were supposed to hit those 3 flowers at the beginning of the game.
Gotcha.
So now that you have that, you can progress through that part of the dungeon. So you can see how it's like a Zelda game where like, oh, now I got this thing, I can go back and do that other thing. So it's like, okay, cool, now I can go see what's behind that wall. So I'm like running back, and like there's a little Dark Souls kind of shortcut where there's more of those flowers that can help you skip like some of the bits that you don't need to go all the way around. And then as you're getting to the beginning where those 3 flowers were at the start, there's corruption along the door, and the little guy's like, oh, we got to go this other way instead. So you go up onto the upper floor of that first area, and now that salamander thing's down there. So this is like the boss fight.
Right.
This is another place where I ran into some issues because
no.
of unfortunately that bow bug. If it wasn't for that bow bug, this game would be like highly recommended. But you have to, if you want to play this, you have to have that in mind that like you're gonna run into this bug probably, and you're gonna have to be patient. This is like beta stuff here. Anyway, you get to this room, and there's the salamanders in the middle, and he's shooting fire at you, and there's 2 bells again, but there's corruption on them, so you have to go to over the bells, hit the thing with your sword to like clear the corruption over the bell, then run around to the other side where you can hit the bell with the bow and arrow. And as you're going through there, like sometimes like enemies will spawn. There was a neat point, like, okay, so you get to the other side, you shoot the arrow, that makes the salamander turn around, expose his back at you because you're like on the 2nd floor, he's on the 1st.
Yep.
You could see his back, and the little fox friend's like, oh, we got to figure out a way to defeat him, or whatever he says. And I looked at his back and was like, that looks like kind of like a rocky shell. So I thought, okay, I'm going to throw bombs at him. And that was it. Throw the bomb, it does damage, he turns around, and you got to do it one more time. So you make sure the bell on the other side is clear of corruption, and you're going back, and more enemies spawn. And there was a new enemy that kind of had that same look onto him. Like, he had these big old arms. He was walking around like a gorilla, but his gorilla arms had like these rocky shields. And I'm like, oh, I bet you I can blow those up with the bomb. And yeah, you can. So it's like the combat and figuring out all this stuff felt really satisfying. So I get to this point where like, okay, I got to blow up the thing on the salamander's back again. I did. All the rocks fall off, and the back of the salamander has these 3 little flower looking things. They're like wheat points, but they kind of look like flowers. And I thought, oh, perfect. I got to shoot this with my new arrow.
Oh, no.
And yeah, I ran into the bow bug, and I couldn't pull out the bow to beat the boss.
Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, God. I have a feeling this is the end of the demo. So I'm like, okay, I'm done.
You get the idea.
I got the idea. Yeah. I really liked the game. I think the character's super cute. The little fox dude is cool because not only does he help you in fighting, but in puzzle solving. The world is really pretty. It's like, imagine a Zelda game. It's a pretty little world to explore.
It's just unfortunate that like
the demo is still, it's still a little rough.
And the bug is like such a foundation of it. It's not like, oh, you kind of got like stuck in a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like you need the basic
control.
You need the basic controls
of your items and everything. So yeah, it's a bug that will halt progress until you restore. But like doing that during the boss fight, and I did it once because I wanted to do it. But after the 2nd time, I was like, nah, that's fine. I'm not going to do this again. But like, I think it goes to show that even though that bug was annoying, I still liked the game so much that I gave it multiple chances. So when they iron out those bugs, I think it's going to be a really good game. And out of all the demos I played right now, it's definitely the one I'm most excited about because I just love third-person action adventure games like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah.
And technically, even when you played the demo, that it had that game-breaking bug. If they always keep the demo up, and even if they don't, but like they could still push an update if they figure out what coding is going wrong.
I've definitely seen some of these demos I've been playing that have pushed out updates on the demos. So maybe they know of it because a lot of people are commenting on it, and they're like, we can't seem to replicate this bug. So please let us know what system you're running, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And people have posted videos.
That's like the biggest scary thing about making like even simple games is like It works on my computer. It works on other
Yeah.
computers I've tested it on. But because we're working with, I don't know, a couple of thousand different people with all these different configurations, that something's going to fuck up and you're going to be like, oh shit, what if I can't fix this for people?
Yeah. Like, even when I was making mods for Monster Hunter, like, people would post, like, oh, it's not working. And I go log in, test my mods. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. It's working for me. And then some people, like, for example, for Monster Hunter Rise, I forget what mod other people were using that affected, like, how the legs moved. And some people in my comments on the Nexus page were like, oh, if you're using this other mod, that kind of conflicts with this one. And I'm like, oh, well, there you go. I'm not using that.
Yeah.
So it's tough, especially for them, because this is just a game. It's not like mods. They are in control of it, but they're like, if they can't replicate it, but it's clearly happening to other people, it's like, oof, that's rough.
Yeah.
But other than that, I loved it. I legit really loved it. So.
Well, that's good. We'll keep an eye on this.
And
see
again,
how it goes.
to reiterate what the name was, Althea, the Wrath of Afeti.
Yeah, we
Althea,
can
the
put
Wrath. Yeah, we'll write
all
it
the
down.
names.
It's kind of a wacky, but I really like the visual style. I like the characters. I liked the exploring. I feel like it kind of reminded me a little bit of Decay of Logos, which was another indie Zelda kind of Dark Souls game.
You say the name and it's not
I know.
triggering anything, sorry.
But if anyone has seen or played, probably not. It's a minor indie game. Decay of Logos is another third person. It's kind of like, people were calling it Breath of the Wild meets Dark Souls, but it's not really like Breath of the Wild, honestly. It just has that kind of visual style.
Well, I think that was pretty good for discussion demos this week, and we probably...
We're going to talk about more, because, I still have a few more demos to play.
Yeah, I think I only got through like half, and I didn't even explain all of my demos that I tried this time, so...
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm like, I'm not going to talk about these, because they were just not my thing. And I have another demo that I played, like, even before the game shows, so we'll see. I'm sure we'll next week we're going to talk about more demos, so that'll be fun.
Yeah,
because I like this.
So join us next time.
Oh, here's a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Maybe this is a bad question to ask you now that I think of it, but whatever. I said that this one was my favorite demo so far. Do you have a favorite demo?
Of the ones that I talked about, I think I would say, man, Silk Roads 2 is the one I put the most time into because I wanted to like it. Maybe Building Relationships, even though it was really short, it was just, like, it's just ridiculous.
It made you the happiest.
But there is another demo that I really enjoyed too, but I didn't bring it up because I was like, I should talk about the indie ones first.
Oh, the superhero one?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
like Dispatch or something.
Yeah, I saw you play that. I thought you were going to talk about it, but it looked pretty short.
It was good, but it's got some big names behind it, so I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah. If the other games you end up playing don't fill out the time, we can talk about it, but
Yeah, maybe next week.
we'll see. Yeah, we saw that during one of the game shows, and it's like, oh, this is obviously going to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, one of the voice actors, the only one that I recognized the name of was Aaron Paul, because he's in Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah.
The kid. Apparently, there's a bunch of other top names for it, but I
Basically a AAA game.
Yeah.
Maybe AA, depending how you look at it.
It's from the makers of the Telltale series. So, like, The Wolf Among Us. And,
Oh, gotcha.
and the Walking Dead. So, yeah, they're going to have no problem getting this out, so...
Okay, well, that was a fun one.
Yeah, that was a nice long episode, and we'll see you next week, and we love you, and be good.
Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.